Assalamualaikum. My name is Aiman Hazri Mazlan bin Saiful Ali Idzar. So, right now I'm going to explain about subnet calculations, the final assessment. So, as of right now, I am going to talk about question 1. So, the question given is subnet A. Subnet A have 500 hosts. So, the IP address given is 172.16.0.0/20. So what we need to do right now is we need to find the prefix length, starting address, network address, and broadcast address. So right now I'm going to explain how to do prefix length. So the first, uh, as we know, we have 32 bits. So the subnet A have the 500 hosts. As you can see on the on top of the screen, the binary number. So the closest one to 500 hosts is 512, which is 2 to the power of 9. So we take the 9, uh, so the 32 will minus 9, so it equals to 23. So the prefix length is 23. Next is the starting address. Starting address, uh, we use 172.16.0.0/23. The 23 is we got from the prefix length that we find earlier. So next is network address. Network address is basically the same as starting address 172.16.0.0/23. So next is a broadcast address. So the broadcast address is next is broadcast address. So broadcast address, the given is from we take from the network address, which is 172.16.0.0/23. So what we need to do is we need to add 511. We use 511 because we 512 we minus it into 1, so we got 511. So 511 will added into the network address, which will become the broadcast address, which is 172.16.1.255/23. Next is the first usable address and last usable address. So first I want to talk about first usable address. So we need to take the same address from the network address, which is 172.16.0.0/23. So what we need to do is we need to add plus 1 into the first usable address. So we got 172.16.0.1/23. Next is the last usable address. Last usable address is basically almost similar to the first usable address, but we have to minus 1. So it will become 172.16.1.254/23. So next I will talk about question 2, which is subnet B that concludes 200 hosts. So the IP address is basically the same as given for all the subnets. Right now, the prefix length. The prefix length, we use 8 because the 200 host is the closest one to the 256 decimal. So we take the 2 to the power of 8. So we take the 8 for to minus the 32 bits. So 32 minus 8 is equal to 24. So to find the starting address and the network address, we put the prefix length uh, behind the starting address. So we got 172.16.2.0/24. So next is the broadcast address. Broadcast address, first we need to take the address from the network address or the starting address, and we got to plus 256. But the 256 needs to minus by 1, which is 255. So because of that, we need to add 255 into the address, which will become 172.16.2.255/24. Next is the first usable address. First usable address, we need to add 1, like earlier, like we explained before. We need to add 1. So it will become 172.16.2.1/24. Next is last USB address, which is basically similar. We need to minus 1, which will become 172.16.2.254. Next, we continue to discuss about question 3. So the question 3 given is the subnet C, which conclude 100 hosts. So the prefix length we use is 7 minus 7 because as we can see at the top given, 2 to the power 7 is 128 in decimal. So we take the power 7 minus by the 32 bits, which equal to 25. So we use the 25 as the prefix length for the subnet C. So to find the starting address and the address, you need to add the prefix length behind. So as you can see, 172.16.3.0 per 25. So we need to plus that, add it into a starting address, and the name address is basically the same as the starting address. So next is the broadcast address. Broadcast address, uh, we need to add 128 plus 128, but we need to minus 1 of the 128. So for example, 128 minus by 1, we got 127, and the 127 we need to add into the address, and it will become 172.16.3.127 slash 25. Next is the first USB address. As we know, we need to add plus 1, which we will got 172.16.3.1 slash 25. Next is we need to minus by 1, which is 172.16.3.126. We got 126 because we minus the 127 minus by 1, and we got 126. Next, last but not least is the question 4. So the question 4 given is the subnet D, which conclude 550 hosts. The IP address is still the same as the question given. So right now we need to find the prefix length. Prefix length, we choose the 6 prefix length because the subnet D conclude 50 hosts. So as you can see above given, uh, the 50 hosts, the closest to 50 hosts is 64. So we will take the 2 to the power of 5. So the power of 5, I'm sorry, 6. I'm sorry, 6. We took the 2 to the power of 6, which is 164 is the closest to 50 hosts. So we take the power 2 equals to the power of 6. Sorry for the arrangement, uh, is not accurate, the placement. So we take this 2 to the power of 6. So we take the bits of the 32 minus by 6. It is equal to 26. So the prefix length for the subnet D is 26. So we need to find the starting address and network address. So the starting address, we need to take the 17. We need to add the we need to add the chosen, which is 172.16.3.128 slash 26. Slash 26 is the prefix line that we have got. So the network address is basically the same as starting address. So next is the broadcast address. So the broadcast address, we need to add 64, which 64 will minus by 1, so we get 63. So we add the 63 into the address of the network address that we got. So after we add, we got 172.16.3.191 slash 26. Next is the first USB address. As we know, we need to plus 1, and the last USB address we need to minus 1. So to get into the first USB address, we need to plus 1 of the broadcast address. So 172.16.3.129 slash 26. And the last USB address we need to minus 1, which we got 172.16.3.190 slash 26. That is all from me. Ni Ahmad Hazrit Mazlan bin Saiful Aliazar, metric number 077054. Thank you.